found this yoga practice that's part of my Impossible People series. The audio for this practice was recorded on August 3rd, 2022. And there is a playlist that goes with this practice, which I'll link in the description and right here. So grab your props and let's get started. If you're using a playlist, it's the playlist that has today's date on it, so 0803-2022. Make sure it has the year 2022 on it, and then go ahead and start that music. It's going to start with a breath of stillness. And so whenever you're ready, I'm going to suggest that you come to your sit bones. So sitting down in a place where you can be still and you can breathe. That's one way to experience that breath of stillness. You can come into a cross-legged position, full lotus, half lotus, no lotus. Maybe you sit down and stretch your legs out in front of you. Maybe you bend your knees and come into a kneeling position. So the feet are behind you. If you have compression in your low back and hips, sit up on top of something. If you have some pain or discomfort, you could take hero's pose, knees together, feet apart, sitting on the floor or a prop between your ankles, or thunderbolt, knees and feet the same distance apart, toes curled under, sitting on your heels or a prop between your heels. Take a moment to shake out your arms, and then let your arms rest on your thighs. Palms down if you want to be grounded. Palms up if you want a little energy. You can take any mudra you like, including Jane mudra, that wisdom seal, thumb and first finger together with the other fingers extended. Or you can place dominant hand on top of the opposite hand with the thumbs barely touching. Either way, stack your spine like you have coins in your back, largest denomination on the bottom, as if you have an invisible dime, nickel, penny on whatever hair is on your head. Relax your shoulders and jaw. Create a little space at the back of your mouth, a little space between your lips and your teeth. Not so much space that if I had a drone, I could zoom in to see if you still had your tonsils, but just enough space where you can breathe into that space. And then without dropping the invisible coins, gaze 4 to 6 feet in front of your belly button. And either blur your eyes through that focal point, that drishti, or softly shutter your eyes. And then let's set a group intention. May all of us together be protected. May all of us together be nourished. May we work together with great energy. May our study together be brilliant and effective. May we not hate or dispute with one another. May there be peace within us, peace all around us, peace to and from everything and everyone we encounter. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep open mouth sigh. Deep breath in through your nose. Deep sigh out. Take the deepest breath you've taken all day. Open your mouth and sigh it out. And then as you inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose, bring your awareness to what makes the impossible possible. What allows you or someone to take that little step that seems like a big giant leap to others every time you inhale, every time you exhale. This time of year, I start off the month talking about impossible people. These are not people who are impossible to deal with. These are people who did things or do things that others have said was impossible. Maybe even sometimes told them that it was impossible. And this year in particular, I'm really thinking about focusing, concentrating, meditating on what it takes to make those giant leaps that are really baby steps for the person that's doing them. Remember, neuroscientists like Dr. Ben Lotto talk about how our minds work, how our minds focus on little baby steps, not on giant leaps. But those steps are based on our experiences. It's all subjective. It's based on our experiences. It's based on our history. And so for the last few days, talking about Miss Maria Mitchell, the first woman to be recognized in America as an astronomer, first woman in America to become an astronomy professor, or even yesterday talking about Mr. James Baldwin, who became an author of essays, of plays, of fiction and nonfiction. Someone who wanted to be seen as more than merely a Negro or merely a Negro writer. And so I just started thinking about, like, what does it take to make those leaps? And for some people, like with Maria Mitchell, it starts off with having a family that supports your endeavors and supports your passions. Someone who encourages you even when other people are telling you no. Or maybe it's just a passion that you have. And maybe, like in the case of James Baldwin, you have to leap across the pond without a lot of money, without any French, in order to do the thing that you feel you're called to do. And ultimately, it does come down to that. It comes to that idea of being called to do something, right? That's that idea that part of what allows us to take the next step or the giant leap has to do with our imagination. We can conceive something, we believe something, we can achieve something. And so for some people, it does come down to a calling. It comes down to believing that they've been given, that they have a God-given purpose. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Song of the Lord, Krishna is talking to Arjuna in the battlefield, in the middle, a moment of stillness in the middle of a battle, middle of a civil war. And Krishna tells Arjuna, your very nature dictates that you perform the duties attuned to your position, your disposition. This is chapter 8, verse 47. Those duties are your dharma, your natural calling. It is far better to do your own dharma, even if you do it imperfectly, than to try to master the work of another. Those who perform the duties called by their obligations, even if those duties seem of limited merit, are able to do them with less effort. And this releases consciousness that can be directed Godward. Take a moment to consider the power of having a calling, especially when you find yourself in an impossible situation. On your next inhale, begin your Ujjayi pranayama, breath of victory. Bring a slight constriction to the back of your throat as you inhale through your nose. Maintaining that constriction as you exhale through your nose, creating an audible and expansive breath, an oceanic and heat-building breath, a detoxifying breath, a breath that brings your awareness to someone who answered an impossible calling. And talk about a calling, having a calling. A lot of people think about it in a religious sense. And if you go back through history in a lot of the religions, especially the Abrahamic religions, you'll find a lot of women who play vital roles in the religious community. A lot of people even who are teachers, but you don't find a lot of female, nun members of clergy. In fact, there's a lot of times throughout history where to be an ordained member of the clergy and to also be a woman or to be female would be considered impossible. And yet, we have the story of Rabbi Regina Jonas, born today in 1902. She was not only the first woman to be ordained as a rabbi, she was ordained in Berlin in 1935. Yes, she became the first woman to be named as a Jewish teacher, officially named as a Jewish teacher, during the height of Nazi Germany. So answering an impossible calling during an impossible time. And she was able to do that in part because of what she felt was her calling. In her doctoral thesis, which was entitled, May a Woman Hold Rabbinic Office, Rabbi Jonas wrote, if I am to confess what drove me as a woman to become a rabbi, two things come to mind: my belief in God's calling and my love of my fellow man. God has bestowed on each one of us special skills and vocations without stopping to ask about our gender. This means each one of us, whether man or woman, has a duty to create and work in accordance with those God-given skills. As we move through this practice, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Rabbi Jonas, a little bit more about her story, a little bit more about how she was able to answer that impossible call during an impossible time. I'll also be offering prenatal variations as well as modifications if you want to skip the arm balancing. And remember that child's pose, Vinyasa, is your modification for every pose. Next time you inhale, blink your eyes open. As you exhale, relax your arms, stretch your legs out, wiggle your toes, rotate your ankles. Maybe even rub your knees. And then you can reset. If you started in a cross-legged position, change the cross of your legs. If you started in a kneeling position, you can go back in a kneeling position or come into a cross-legged position. Same thing, if you start in a cross-legged position, you can go into a kneeling position. Either way, bring your hands together in heart center or bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you and bring your awareness to your goal, your desire, your reason for being on the mat today. Maybe it's something that you see as your calling, or maybe it's just something that you love to do and you want to do more of it. You can bring your awareness to something that serves you. And then bring your awareness to someone other than yourself, someone you'd like to energetically support as we move through this practice. Maybe it's one of the naysayers in your lives, one of the master teachers, one of your precious jewels, one of those people that are always saying, I don't think you can do that. I think it's impossible. You bring your awareness to someone who believes different things from you, or even someone you've never met, someone you will never meet. But take a moment to offer up your efforts as a loving and compassionate dedication. A little possibility, in a little bit of light in the darkness. Let's unify the breath. Exhale all your air out. Take the deepest breath you've taken all day. Open your mouth and sigh it out. And then as you inhale, resume your ujjayi. Breathe in through your nose with that slight constriction at the back of your throat. Exhale through your nose. Fill up as you inhale. Empty out completely as you exhale. Next time you inhale, blink your eyes open. As you exhale, relax your arms down. As you inhale, stretch your right arm up. And as you exhale, reach your right arm back behind you, rotating to the right. It's an open twist, so it's prenatal approved. But if you need more room when you're pregnant, if you need more room for baby and belly, just sit up a little higher. Everyone, you can have your left hand cupping your right knee or bring it outside of your right thigh. Either way, press down, lift up as you inhale. Twist and rinse as you exhale. During Rabbi Jonas's lifetime, especially when she was a young adult, it was possible for Jewish women to go to seminary, to go to the theological schools. They admitted women, but you couldn't get an academic teacher's degree. You could not become ordained as a rabbi. It was impossible. And even though the winds at the time were changing, they were not changing in a progressive way. Remember, she grew up as anti-Semitism was rising in Germany. And she was born in Berlin, went to seminary in Berlin. Next time you inhale, come back to center. As you exhale, relax your arms down, take a deep breath in, lift your left arm up. And as you exhale, rotate to the left hand behind your back, right hand cups your left knee or comes to the outside of your left thigh. And so she went to rabbinical seminary. But unlike her female peers, Rabbi Jonas wanted to get that academic teacher's degree. She wanted the title. She wanted the responsibility. And maybe some of the others did as well, but they didn't persist. They didn't persevere. They didn't demand such a thing. They just took the knowledge and they used the knowledge. But her desire, Rabbi Jonas's desire to have that actual degree, to have the title and the responsibilities, is something that she expressed at a very young age. People who survived the Holocaust who remember her, remember that she always had a passion for Jewish history and the Bible and the Hebrew language. It's a passion that was remembered by high school friends and even by Orthodox rabbis that were in her community. As you inhale, come back to center. You can either make your way to child's pose, coming to bring your big toes to touch, spreading your knees as wide as they'll feel comfortable, sinking your hips to your heels, forehead and nose touch the mat, or you can come into puppy dog, knees and feet the same distance apart, curling the toes under so you address the fascia at the back of your feet, and then sink your hips to your heels, forehead and nose touch the mat. If those options don't work for you and you're not pregnant, you could lie down flat on your belly. If those options don't work for you, even when you roll up a towel or a blanket, put it between your thighs and your hips, or sit on a prop, and you are pregnant, you could just fold forward in the seated position. But everyone just take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. Because she wanted to be ordained, because she wanted that academic teacher's degree, Rabbi Jonas wrote a thesis. That was a final thesis that was required for ordination, and she submitted it. And her final thesis topic, was based on biblical, Talmudic, and rabbinical sources. And it was that question near and dear to her heart. May a woman hold rabbinic office? Prenatal variation is going to be to come into a tabletop and then do some hip circles, dropping the hips down to one side as you exhale, circling around on the other side as you inhale. Or if you're seated, you could do some, just stir the pot, rotating your torso around. Everyone else, as you inhale, drag your body forward, lift your heart up into cobra pose, bhujangasana. Legs are stretched out behind you, hips on the mat, hands under your armpits, elbows squeeze in, lifting your heart up. Even if you extend your cobra and lift your heart up so high that the arms are straightened, your hips are still down on the mat. Shoulders down your back. And so these days, just like in those days, there are people that believe that there is a woman's place and then there's a place where a woman shouldn't be. I find those kinds of things twisted, just like I find it twisted to say that someone shouldn't do something because of their ethnicity or their race or their perceived physical or mental abilities. Listen, if you're in that cobra pose, as you exhale, lower down, gaze to the left. Inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, bow down, gaze to the right. One more inhale, lifting up. One more exhale, gazing to the left. And then following that sequence until you gaze to the right. And then if you're doing that bowing cobra, next time you bow down and gaze to the left, keep your head to the left. And as you inhale, lift your body up, pushing through your arms. Just take your gaze across the ceiling or the sky until you rotate around on the right side. And do that one more time. And then switch directions. If you were doing the hip circles, this is a good time to switch circles as well. So when you inhale up to center, you exhale and drop your hips over to the opposite ankle from where you were starting before.
Cobra poses, you can continue with the dynamic motion, or once you've balanced out, you can hold your back bend at any time. You may remember
Miss Maria Mitchell was born in 1818, the same year that Miss Hannah Crocker wrote her pamphlet about how women's roles were to soothe men's emotions. And yet there was something in Miss Mitchell that allowed her to persevere. Remember that Mr. James Baldwin was born in 1924 in the United States, at a time when it was considered, his stepfather thought it would be a death sentence for him as a black man, as a black gay man, to become a writer. And yet something in him would not allow him to give up. For Rabbi Jonas, what allowed her not to give up was that belief that she had God-given skills, that she had a calling, and that calling would allow her to serve humankind. Next time you inhale, lift your heart up dog, cobra, cow, tadasana, high plank, or sphinx, and hold. Remember, the prenatal variations here are cow pose, sphinx, a little cushion under your hips and thighs, tadasana on your knees, or high plank. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Take a moment to bring your awareness to what allows you not to give up when something's really important to you. What allows you to persist? What allows you to persevere? What allows you to turn those no's into yeses? Take one more inhale just like this. And then as you exhale, either press back to tabletop, or if you're skipping the arm balance, come into a standing half lift position. Tabletops, you want shoulders over elbows, elbows over wrist, or wrists in front of the elbows if your forearms are down on the mat, hips over the knees. As you exhale, gaze between your knees. Make sure your ankles are active, big toes parallel to each other. And then everyone, as you inhale, lift your heart up. If your knees are on the mat, curl the toes under. Lift your hips in the air as you exhale. Come into downward facing dog or dolphin dog. Or if you're standing, skipping the arm balancing, come into your standing forward fold. Downward facing dog. This is your first Adho Mukha Svanasana. So take a moment to check your asana, check your seat. For this pose, it's your hands and feet. You want to make sure your fingers are spread wide. Middle fingers point forward. Joints of the thumb and first finger pressed in the mat. As you relax your head and shoulders, take a moment to make sure your big toes are parallel to each other. Big toes behind your thumbs or first fingers, or dolphin dog's elbows, big toes behind your elbows. Even in the standing forward fold, you could separate your legs a little bit. And then everyone, press your spine to your thighs, thigh bones to the wall behind you, hips high, heels low. As you exhale, bend your knees a little bit. As you inhale, find a little bit of cow pose, just a little bit of a back bend. And then downward facing dogs as you exhale, rotate the pony part of your elbows towards your big toes and a little closer to your nose. Take a moment to scan your body. Maybe even express a little gratitude for the sensation, the information that informs your practice. And then with awareness, as well as with gratitude, start to move. You can bend your knees one at a time or at the same time. Lift one leg high and then the other, or lift up an arm. You could add a twist. You could come back to your knees, but whatever you do on one side, do something similar or complementary on the other side. Move through one more full cycle of breath. And then on your next exhale, find stillness. As you inhale, nod your head yes to turning inward, doing a little discernment, noticing the interior movements of your own heart. As you exhale, shake your head no to always accepting that first no as your final answer. And as you inhale, nod your head yes to the joy of answering that impossible call. As you inhale, stretch back. As you exhale, walk your hands to your feet or bring your hands and feet together. Once your heels are on the mat, inhale to your half, lift flat back. Exhale, hands to your thighs or bend your elbows and knees and put your elbows on your thighs. Either way, as you inhale, shrug your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, push your shoulders to your hips. Even if you have to bend your knees here, as you inhale, find a little bit of cow pose so the heart's forward, gaze is forward. As you exhale, zip up. What I mean by that is spread your toes, squeeze your perineum muscles together, belly button up and back. Or if you're pregnant, close the funky zipper by running it down your sacrum through your pelvic floor up to your belly button. Stay here if you have low back issues, unregulated blood pressure, or eye issues like glaucoma. Stay here if this feels good. Everyone else, as you exhale, fold forward. Take any variation of Uttanasana that you like. You could take ragdoll, grabbing opposite bicep with opposite hand. You could take chest expansion, interlacing your hands behind your back, or wrap your arms around your legs. Classic Uttanasana is to press your hands on the floor or prop, extend through your spine as you also extend through your legs. And let something go. Let something roll off your back. Let go of your worries. Let go of your fears. Let go of your doubts. Or maybe let go of someone else's doubts, fears. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. So because she had always had that passion for Jewish history and the Torah and for the Hebrew language, because she wanted to serve her community, Rabbi Jonas looked to Halachic literature. Even though it didn't deal specifically with ordination, she combined Halachic theory related to women's issues with a modern attitude about women's roles. But she didn't use a reform movement argument. Instead, she wanted to establish gender equality within the continuation and as a continuation of tradition. She wanted to pave a road between the reform movement and orthodoxy. Next time you exhale, release your bind. If your back is healthy, bend your knees, roll up one vertebrae at a time. If you have some back issues, inhale to your half lift. Exhale, hands to your hips, core engages. Pressing down as you inhale, lift your whole body up. If you're rolling up, shoulders come up before your neck before the head. Once you're all the way upright, use as much or as little of the arms as you like. And then as you inhale, shrug your shoulders up to your ears. And as you exhale, roll your shoulders down and back. One more time to get into the front of the heart. And then into the back of the heart. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, roll your shoulders down and forward. Two more times. And then go the other way again. As you inhale, stretch your arms out and up. As you exhale, walk to the front of the mat. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a deep breath in. Remember your intention. Deep breath out. Remember your dedication. And then we're going to go into a half of a hot half moon. So next time you exhale, relax your arms by your side. Marry your left hand to your left thigh or bring your left hand to your hip. Either way, as you inhale, stretch your right arm up. And as you exhale, reach your right arm over to the left. So you might be in the habit of leaning to the left when you're off the mat. Even if you do, take a moment to engage the right. Make sure your weight's balanced in both feet, both legs, both hips. Paying attention to what happens in your low back, making sure you don't have compression there. Start to rotate your thighs up towards your right armpit. Rotate your hips up, rotate your heart up, maybe even gaze up at your right elbow. You can keep the right elbow extended, triceps engaged, or next time you exhale, engage the biceps, bend the right elbow, right hand behind your head, and use your whole body to lift your heart up. And consider what you find inside of your heart when you turn inward. Strength, courage, wisdom are all inside of you. Just like all of that knowledge was inside of Rabbi Jonas. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. As you inhale, lift both arms up. Exhale, hands come through heart center. Bring your right hand to your right thigh or right hand to your right hip. As you inhale, lift your left arm up. As you exhale, reach your left arm over. And so anyway, sometimes people want to think that if you practice yoga, you always lean left. But actually, there's plenty of right-leaning people. And so this is just a reminder that if you lean right, take a moment to engage the left. And then paying attention to what's happening in your low back. Start to rotate your thighs up towards your left armpit. Rotate your hips up. Rotate your heart up. You can keep your left elbow extended, engaging the triceps. Or next time you exhale, engage the biceps. Bend your elbow, hand behind your head. Rotate your heart up. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And once you turn inward, Rabbi Jonas found not only strength, wisdom, and courage, she also found certain things that were related to what certain qualities that were considered female qualities, certain qualities people still to this day consider to be female qualities. And she included those attributes in her thesis. As you inhale, stretch up. Exhale, hands come through heart center. And the next time you inhale, stretch your arms overhead. As you exhale, rotate your wrists around. Doesn't matter which way you go because you're going to have time to balance out. And then start to lower your arms down, still rotating your wrist. Once you extend your elbows down, start to move the arms in that direction. Whatever direction you were rotating your wrists, rotate your arms that way. And then start circling your arms up. And then still in that rotation, lower your arms down. Find a moment of stillness. As you inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, rotate your wrist in the other direction. So if you can't remember which way you start the way it feels natural and then go the other way. And then start lowering your arms down, still rotating the wrist. Once the elbows extend down, start to rotate the arms in that direction. And then still rotating the arms, start to lift the arms up. Like almost like you're a conductor. And then lower the arms, still rotating the arms. Find a moment of stillness. As you inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale, swan dive. Take your whole breath. Bring your heart to your thighs. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, right leg steps back, low lunge. Take a deep breath in to extend. Exhale, left hip back, shoulders relax. Squeeze your thighs towards each other for external stability. As you exhale, zip up for internal stability. Spread your toes, squeeze your perineum muscles together, belly button up and back, or close that funky zipper so the lower body supports the upper body. And just take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. Rabbi Jonas also included not only specific gender qualities, but also expectations centered around the Jewish concept of modesty, which she viewed as being essential to someone's role as a rabbi. So remember, this is very similar to Hannah Crocker's ideas back in 1818. But instead of using those qualities to diminish a woman's role in society, Rabbi Jonas saw it as a way to expand. Next time you exhale, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog, puppy dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or a half lift. Exhale, puppy dog, lower all the way down or fold forward. As you inhale, lift your heart up dog, cobra, cow, tadasana, high plank or sphinx, and hold and breathe. Since she knew her history, then Rabbi Jonas also knew this fundamental truth that if we go back deep enough into ourselves, back into our heritage, then we find that we're the sons and the daughters of slaves and servants, but also kings and queens. We may find in our background that there are people who are oppressors, but also people who are liberators. And so it's up to you on who you focus. I like to focus on the positive, focus on those liberators, focus on those members of royalty that served us, or maybe even those slaves that were able to overcome and find their freedom. Take a moment just to imagine that you have a crown on your head. It's a yes crown. It's an adorned crown. And even when you're upside down, you still have that. You still have that connection. Next time you exhale, you can press back to tabletop, lower all the way down or fold forward. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or half lift. Exhale, downward facing dog, puppy dog, or dolphin dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Eyes on your nose, your belly button, or the space between your toes. Take one more inhale, just like this. One more exhale, just like this. And the next time you inhale, stretch back. As you exhale, walk your hands to your feet or bring your hands and feet together. Once your heels are on the mat, inhale to your half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive, arms lift, heart lifts. As you exhale, walk to the front of the mat, hands come through heart center. Take a deep breath in, stretch up. Exhale, swan dive, take your whole breath, bring your heart to your thighs. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, left leg steps back, low lunge. Take a deep breath in to extend. Exhale, right hip back, shoulders relax. Squeeze your thighs towards each other as you inhale. As you exhale, zip up. Again, spread your toes, squeeze your perineum muscles together, belly button up and back, or close that funky zipper. But let the lower body support the upper body. So it comes out of your fingertips, a little heaviness comes out of your heart. And that light in your heart is reflected off of your crown. And nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can take away where you come from. Nobody can take away how you internalize where you come from. Next time you exhale, plant your hands, step back, downward facing dog, puppy dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or half lift. Exhale, puppy dog, lower all the way down or fold forward. Inhale, lift your heart up dog, cobra, cow, tadasana, high plank or sphinx, and hold and breathe. I don't know about you, but where I'm wearing my crown, I feel absolutely adored. And maybe that's how Rabbi Jonas felt. After going through all of the rabbinical literature, she declared that yes, a woman could be a rabbi according to Halachic sources. In fact, in her doctoral thesis, she said that as far as she could tell, it was only prejudice and lack of familiarity that stand against women holding rabbinic office. Next time you exhale, lower down, press back to tabletop or fold forward. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or half lift. Exhale, downward facing dog, dolphin dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Eyes on your nose, your belly button, or the space between your toes. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. But she went a step further than just saying, yes, a woman could be a rabbi. She said that female rabbis were a cultural necessity, in part because of those so-called female qualities like compassion, interpersonal skills, and psychological intuition. Downward facing dogs, you always have the option to stretch back, walk back, meet us in the lunge, or next time you inhale, get stability on your left side. As you exhale, bend your right knee, right heel to your hip. Inhale, lift your heel, lift your gaze. Three-legged down dog, step your right foot forward. Half lift, step your left leg back. Prenatal variation is runner's lunge. For that option, you bring your left knee down, right toes up and out at a 45-degree angle. Everyone else, keep your right toe straight ahead. As you inhale, bring your right hand to your right thigh. Shoulders down your back. See if you can come to the tips of your left fingertips on the floor or prop, and then press up your right hand until your torso lifts up enough for you to extend your left fingertips. Maybe you still need the extra support, but don't dump on the left. And then as you inhale, lift your right arm high into the modified revolving crescent. Shoulders down your back. If you're in the twist, you're going to thread the needle. So as you exhale, right arm comes over your right leg and then under your left armpit. And then inhale, stretch up. Exhale, thread the needle. One more time. As you inhale, stretch up. One more exhale, thread the needle. This time as you inhale, lift your right arm up and hold the twist. If you took the prenatal option and you want the twist, feel free to lift the right arm up. Just make sure you've made room for baby and belly. Take one more inhale just like this. One more exhale just like this. This time, everyone's going to thread the needle, but as you do so, you're going to exhale your right elbow to your right thigh and rotate your left heel down so you have heel to arch alignment. Check to make sure that the right heel lines up with the middle of your left arch, and then inhale, lift your left arm up and over your left ear, coming into extended side angle. Make sure you're not collapsing on the right side. You can bring your right hand inside or outside of your right leg. If you want to take the half bind, let that left arm relax behind your back. And just take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. Rabbi Jonas's supervisor, a renowned professor of the Talmud at the seminary, accepted her doctoral thesis in June of 1930, but he died before, shortly after. He died shortly after her submission, and his successor would not ordain women. Even the leader of the Reform movement at the time rejected her submission. Next time you exhale, engage your core. Inhale to a 5-pointed star, toes out, heels in, shoulders down your back. This part of the star is the crown of your head, so lift it up. And then as you inhale, lift the corners of your mouth up towards your ears. And as you exhale, relax your jaw for a 5-pointed smile. If you typically skip the wide-legged forward fold, as you exhale, come into a squat. Everyone else, as you exhale, turn your toes so they're parallel to each other and fold forward. If you went into the forward fold, bring your hands under your armpits. As you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, press your hands into the floor as if you're going to come into a handstand, but then seal the feet in. Big toes, little toes, both sides of the heels press down. Stay here, or as you exhale, flex and fold. Even though her professors were not willing to ordain her, Rabbi Jonas received a good grade for her thesis, and she graduated as a religious teacher. And she started teaching. She started teaching religion at several girls' schools in Berlin. And remember, at this time, anti-Semitism was rising in Germany, and it created an increased need for Jewish teachers and religious education. Next time you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, crawl to your right and adjust your feet. Bring your right foot over to the right. Maybe step your left foot up so you're folded over your right leg. So turn the right toe towards the front of your mat. Move your right foot over to the right. As you inhale, look up and lengthen. Setting up for pyramid pose. As you exhale, press your right hip back, left hip forward. Stay in that flat back with your legs split, or keeping your spine long. As you exhale, flex and fold. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And because of this increased need, Rabbi Max Dinneman, who at the time was the executive director of the Conference of Liberal Rabbis, agreed to ordain Regina Jonas on behalf of the conference. And within 2 years, she was serving the official community as pastoral rabbinic counselor. That was kind of the title that they gave her. She ministered to those in the Jewish hospital. She ministered to those who were considering immigrating, and also people who were economically affected by Kristallnacht, that really horrific, tragic night and day where the Nazis were smashing storefronts and smashing in people's homes. That night of glass. As you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, bend your right knee, come into a low lunge. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog, puppy dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or half lift. Exhale, puppy dog, lower all the way down or fold forward. As you inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take the extra push-up or fold forward. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. As you inhale, get stability on your right side. Exhale, bend your left knee, left heel to the hip. Inhale, lift your heel, lift your gaze. Three-legged down dog, step your left foot forward. Half lift, step your right leg back. Prenatal variation is runner's lunge, right knee comes down, left foot up and out at a 45-degree angle, and you hold here for a few breaths. Everyone else, as you inhale, bring your left hand to your left thigh, press it in that left hand, and start to stretch out through your right side. So you're lifting up to the right fingertips until you can extend the right fingers. And again, even if you still need the support of the floor or a prop there under that right hand, don't collapse down. Don't dump on the right. Once you've lifted your heart up over the obstacle that's being created by your left leg, as you inhale, lift your left arm high into your modified Pavarita Anjaneyasana. And then if you're in the twist, as you exhale, thread the needle. Left arm goes over your left leg and then under your right armpit. Inhale, stretch the left arm up. Exhale, thread the needle. One more inhale. One more exhale. And then inhale, lift the left arm up and hold the twist. If you took the prenatal variation and you want the twist, feel free to take it. Left arm lifts up, shoulders down your back. As more and more rabbis were imprisoned by the Nazis or more and more rabbis fled persecution, Rabbi Regina Jonas began to lecture various groups, preach in liberal synagogues, and even led Havdalah weekday services in the synagogue. At one point during the winter of 1940 to 1941, the Nazis had established a German Jewry organization, and they were actually sending her to cities that no longer had rabbis. Even when she was forced to work in the factory, she continued her ministry. Everyone is going to thread the needle here. As you exhale, bring your left elbow to your left thigh. Rotate your right heel down. Check to make sure you have heel to arch alignment. That may be bringing your left foot to the right so it's more centered, adjusting the right foot so it's parallel to the short edge of your mat. And then as you inhale, lift your right arm up and over, coming into your Parsvottanasana, extended side angle. Shoulders down your back. If you want the half bind, bring your right hand behind your back. In Indian traditions, there is a form of yoga called bhakti yoga. It's devotional yoga. It is union through love of God. And one form of bhakti yoga is kirtan, where people chant the names of God or different attributes of God, and it's accompanied with music or accompanied by music. And so one of those chants is Hey Ma Durga. It is honoring God as woman, God as mother, and all the attributes that come with a mother's love, that fierce protection, that compassion, that sympathetic joy even. As you inhale, come into your 5-pointed smile, toes out, heels in, shoulders down your back. Deep breath in, deep breath out. All of those attributes that Rabbi Jonas said all rabbis should have, all clergy should have. If you're skipping the wide-legged forward fold, come into your squat. Everyone else, as you exhale, turn your toes so they're parallel to each other and fold forward. As you inhale, look up and lengthen, hands under your armpits. Again, seal the hands in, but then also seal the feet in. You can stay in that flat back position or keeping your spine long. As you exhale, fold forward. Hey Ma Durga, Jai Jai Durga is not only honoring God as mother, but calling out for victory, for that maternal spirit. I remember if you look up mothering in the dictionary, it's something that anyone can do. Just because it's associated with women or associated with humans of the female persuasion, it is still the qualities are something that everyone has, regardless of sex, regardless of gender. Take one more inhale, just like this. One more exhale, just like this. Next time you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, crawl to your left. Turning your left toes forward, adjust your right foot. As you inhale, lengthen through your left leg and your spine, so both legs are straight. As you exhale, press your left hip back, right hip forward. Stay here. As you exhale, flex and fold. And just let something go. Let something roll off your back. As she continued her ministry, Rabbi Jonas was like a light in the darkness. And there was a lot of darkness, so there needed to be a lot of light. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. Next time you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, bend your left knee, come into a low lunge as you inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog, puppy dog, or come into your standing forward fold. Inhale, high plank, cow pose, or half lift.
Exhale, chaturanga, puppy dog, lower all the way down or fold forward.
Inhale, lift your heart up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take the extra push up or fold forward. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. However you want to get there, make your way to a seated position, Dandasana staff pose. So you're sitting down with your legs stretched out in front of you. Press your hands down, heels down, hips down, heart high. If you have compression in your low back, sit up on top of something. If your back feels really tender, lie down on your back, lift your arms and legs up in the air and take a supine forward fold. Those of you that are seated, lift your arms up. And as you exhale, shoulders down your back, take a deep breath in, no matter where you are. As you exhale, flex and fold. So if you're seated, you're folding forward. Reach down and grab what's available, big toes, ankles, arches, shins, or grab all your toes. You can use a strap to bridge the gap or a prop to extend your reach. Either way, maintaining your spine as you inhale, look up and lengthen. As you exhale, fire up your thighs so the thigh bones are pointing away or pressing away from your face. And then start to extend so that your heart comes closer to your toes. Or if you're on your back, your toes come closer to your heart. The diploma of ordination for Rabbi Regina Jonas, which was approved by Rabbi Max Dinneman, says, since I saw that her heart is with God and Israel, and that she dedicates her soul to her goal, and that she fears God, and that she passed the examination in matters of religious law, I herewith certify that she is qualified to answer questions of religious law and entitled to hold the rabbinic office. And may God protect her and guide her on all her ways. Next time you exhale, if you're on your back, bring your knees into your armpits and go ahead and meet us in the seated position. If you're already in the seated position, as you inhale, look up and lengthen. Exhale, sit back, shoulders over your hips. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, hug your right knee into your right armpit. Right foot flat on the floor. If you're pregnant, you can drop your right knee. You want to drop your right knee over to the side so it'll be an open twist. Everyone, as you inhale, stretch your right arm up. And as you exhale, swing your right arm back behind you as you rotate your upper body to the right. And then everyone, as you inhale, lift your left arm up. As you exhale, you can bring your left elbow to the outside of your right thigh, or you can hug the knee. Sometimes we need to get out of our own way. So you might use your right hand to pull the flesh from the left to the right. You might decide you want to take a bind here, and you can bring your palms together in prayer in front of your heart in that Anjali Mudra, that offering seal. Maybe remember your intention here. Remember your dedication here. And then as you inhale, come back to center. As you exhale, give your right knee a little hug. And then as you inhale, stretch your right leg out. Exhale, hug your left knee in. Left foot flat on the floor. And then if you're pregnant, you're going to drop your left knee over to the left side. And then next time you inhale, everyone stretch your left arm up. As you exhale, swing your left arm back behind you. As you inhale, lift your right arm up. As you exhale, bring your right elbow outside of your left thigh, or just hug your left knee or cup your left knee, depending on your variation. Remember, you can always use your left hand to pull the flesh from the right to the left. You can always take a bind here. The really twisted thing is that even as Rabbi Jonas was achieving her goals and desires, answering that impossible call, things were becoming even more impossible for Jewish people in Germany and in German occupied territories, and that territory was expanding. On November 2nd, 1942, Rabbi Jonas was compelled to fill out a declaration form where she listed her property, including all her books. And 2 days later, all of her property was confiscated by the Nazis. As you inhale, turn back to center. As you exhale, hug your left knee in, and then inhale, stretch your left leg out. If you want to follow back bend other than bridge or wheel pose, do what you do. Everyone else, lower down to your back. Bend your knees when you're on your back so your feet are flat on the floor. If you're coming with me, you want an invisible orange under your chin, invisible grapefruit in between your thighs, or since it's still the great heat season, you could put an invisible pineapple between your thighs. If you want to strengthen the adductors, put an actual prop between your thighs. And then as you inhale, use the strength of your legs to lift your hips up. As you exhale, shrug your shoulders under your low back, under your back. Wheel poses or bridge poses, you can use your hands or a prop to support your low back. If you're coming in a full wheel pose, inhale your arms overhead. As you exhale, bend your elbows, fingertips under your shoulders, elbows squeeze in. Wheel poses as you inhale, come up to the crown of your head. As you exhale, get a nice firm grip. Inhale or exhale lifts you all the way up. If you supported your low back with your hands or a prop, feel free to lift your legs up for a suspended bridge or stretch your legs out for an extended bridge. 3 days after having to fill out that form, which was the day after her property had been confiscated by the Nazis, Rabbi Jonas and her mother were arrested by the Nazis. And on November 6th, they were deported to a ghetto in German-occupied Czechoslovakia. But here's the thing. Even there, she continued to preach and continued to counsel. Even there, she continued to be a light in the darkness. The psychoanalyst Viktor Frankl asked her to help him with crisis intervention, which included meeting and assisting new arrivals and helping to prevent suicide attempts. And as Viktor Frankl talked about in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, one of the ways that they prevented suicide was reminding people of their place in the community, reminding them of their heritage, reminding them of those crowns, and reminding them that they had a God-given purpose. Wheel poses, lower down to bridge with your arms overhead. Bridge poses, bend your knees, remove your support, reach your arms overhead. As you inhale, come up to your tippy toes. As you exhale, slowly lower down one vertebrae at a time. Once your hips are on the mat, gently, mindfully, windshield wiper your knees. And then prenatal variation is to roll to the left in order to sit up. Everyone else, you have the option to roll over or bring your hands to your bottom, slide your fingers up to the creases of your knees, and just like a child in a swing, rock up and back 5 or 6 times. Angle your body so you tap each corner of the mat at least once with both feet. And then after that 5th or 6th rock, come all the way up, turn to the left or to the right, and stretch your legs out as wide as they'll go. Flex your ankles, sit up nice and tall as you inhale, and as you exhale, flex and fold. You can stretch your arms out in between your legs the way you would for downward facing dog, or you can bend your elbows and bring your forearms to the floor or a prop. You can stretch your arms out over your legs and bind off, peace fingers to the big toes, or hold onto your ankles, your outer arches, ankles or shins. But either way, keep your spine long. Keep firing up your thighs as much as you're able. Take one more inhale, just like this. One more exhale, just like this. And the next time you inhale, lift your heart up. As you exhale, hug your knees into your armpits and give them a little squeeze. Prenatal variation is to keep the wide-legged stump. Everyone else, you can bring your knees together. And everyone, forehead to the knees. Take a deep breath in. Look up, open your mouth, sigh it out. Bow your head down, take a deep breath in. Look up, open your mouth, sigh it out. One more time as you inhale, take the deepest breath you've taken all day. Open your mouth and sigh it out. And then just take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. You can bring your forehead down or you can keep your gaze up. Almost exactly 2 years after she and her mother were originally deported, on October 12th, 1944, at the age of 42, Rabbi Jonas and her mother were deported to Auschwitz, where they were killed. Take one more inhale. One more exhale. And then if you want a final back bend other than bridge or wheel pose, do what you do. Sorry, if you want a final pose other than Shavasana, do what you do. I'm skipping. My brain is skipping. So go ahead and lower down to your back, stretching your legs out, unless you're taking that other option as your final pose. Remember, if you're pregnant and you're not comfortable on your back, you could curl up on your left side or finish in a seated position. Wherever you are, take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. If you'd like to be guided out of your final pose, reawaken your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Deep open mouth sigh. Deep breath in through your nose. Deep sigh out. Gently rock your head side to side. Gently bring motion to your fingers and toes. Being mindful of the space around you, inhale your arms overhead and take a full body stretch. Reach through your fingers, reach through your toes. Prenatal variation is to, as you exhale, bend your knees and then roll to the left. Everyone else, when you're on your back, bend your knees and roll to the right. And just take a moment to be here. Take a moment to breathe here. And then when you're ready, use the strength of your arms to press up to a comfortable seated position. Eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Hands together at heart center. Take a moment to rub your palms together, create a little heat, a little energy, a little awareness. And then bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, and soak up that heat, that energy, that awareness. If you feel comfortable with your eyes, you could do that to turn a little more inward. You could take your hands to the other part of your being, any other part of your body that needs a little extra heat or energy or awareness. And then shake out your hands and we'll seal in the practice. You can bring your hands back together at heart center or switch which hand is at your heart, which hand is your belly. None of the male religious leaders who survived the Holocaust spoke of Regina Jonas. However, a copy of her thesis, her teaching certificate, her rabbinical diploma, her personal documents, and 2 photos survived the Holocaust and are preserved in Berlin. Included in those personal documents were letters of gratitude from refugees she had counseled, as well as from families that she had counseled, families of people who had continued to live in Germany. And there's also a list of 24 sermons and lectures that she delivered, along with notes for at least one full sermon. In the footsteps of Regina Jonas, a documentary about her life and legacy, there are women, female rabbis, who in some cases were directly inspired by her life. In some cases found out about her life after they had become rabbis. And in the documentary, there's rabbis like Gisa Edderberg. Rabbi Edderberg is one of those who celebrated the 17th anniversary of Rabbi Jonas's ordination with a Havdalah service, the same type of weekday service that Rabbi Jonas led in Berlin. In a 1938 news article, Rabbi Jonas wrote, "God has placed abilities and callings in our hearts without regard to gender. If you look at things this way, one takes woman and man for what they are, human beings. Take a moment to bring your awareness to your humanity. As you inhale, lift your thumbs to your third eye, and as you exhale, bow forward. Namaste." And that's the practice. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your practice. If you appreciate this video or any of the videos, please like, share, and when you comment with kindness, please leave me a 7-word comment. And I'll see you next time.